to let it drop. Let it drop.
Detroit Lions fans, welcome back in. It is a Victory Monday. I said last week, I think we need to stop calling it Victory Monday and just take it back to Monday because we're just used to winning. All right. It's not cocky. It's not arrogance. It's just the facts. 9-1. That means that the Detroit Lions have played 10 games. They've won 90% of them. It is just Monday. Real quick, before I get into today's episode, got to give a shout out to my guy, Michael Robinson. I got to meet at the game yesterday while me and my wife were heading up to grab a snack before the game. Got to shake your hand. Thank you for your service. Recognize me. I truly, truly appreciate your following. It's pretty cool to run into some people who watch our channel regularly. And Michael, thank you again for everything, your service, and for taking time to chit chat with me for very briefly. But something interesting happened yesterday. All right, after the game, if you're like me, you come home, cloud nine, you record a good episode with your friend Will. You sit back, you're relaxing, watching a little bit of Sunday afternoon football. I got to watch the ending of the Buffalo Bills Kansas City Chiefs game, okay? And the Buffalo Bills were able to pull that one out, and you're thinking, Steve, why are you talking Bills, Chiefs? Like, this is Detroit Lions. You're right, it is. After the Bills won, something very interesting happened that I have never seen in my time on this earth. I don't think it's happened on anyone's time on this earth, because what happened yesterday after the Bills beat the Chiefs, the Detroit Lions became Super Bowl favorites, okay? According to FanDuel and several other betting sites that I tinker with, this is the updated odds for the Super Bowl. As you can see, Detroit Lions are the betting favorite. Kansas City Chiefs close. The next closest AFC or NFC team is the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers, who are at disarray. So, guys, let me just start by saying, I know there's a ton of football left, okay? The season seems like it's almost over, but this is the grind, okay? These next – I think when you start getting close to Thanksgiving, like, that's when you want to be playing your best football. That's when you want to have everything rolling. That's when you want to get hot. Kind of like what our Detroit Tigers did, all right? You got hot at the end of the season. You go on a big winning streak. Anything can happen. So the NFL is a little different. You only get one game a week. Not the case for the Lions. We have 3 games in the next 10, which is a little weird. Long stretch here, okay? I know there's a lot of football left. I'm not trying to get too far ahead, all right? I understand the importance of every game as a fan and as a podcaster, as you guys call us. I have the luxury of being able to look forward. I have the luxury of being able to look further and deeper into the season. That's what I have to do to talk about some content. I'm not a player. I'm not an NFL player. Never have been. Never even came close. But those guys have to focus one game at a time, okay? I can sit back and I can dissect things a little differently. I can think about the Super Bowl. I can think about playoffs, all right? I have that luxury. A lot of other people don't. So we're just going to sit back. We're going to chat today. We're going to have a little talk about the Super Bowl, all right? What I want you guys to do is, in honor of me meeting Michael Robinson, a Marine vet, I want you guys to share in the comments how long you've been a Detroit Lions fan and your favorite Detroit Lions moment, and we'll sit back and we'll talk about that. We've been through everything there's to be through as Detroit Lions fans, man. We've suffered through 0-16. We've suffered through players that we've drafted that we've hoped were going to turn out and end up being busts, like Jeff Okudah, Joey Harrington. The list goes on and on. Coaching regimes that were supposed to be, the game changers like Matt Patricia, Bob Quinn, who was supposed to be the saving grace as the GM. We've gotten a lot of things wrong as an organization, and I'm not trying to turn this into a downer episode, because now we have people like Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson, even though he's banged up, Alex Anzalone, even though he's banged up. We have a roster full of guys that play football at a very, very high level. Brian Branch, like we could sit here and name the players all day, okay? This team is different in a way that we've never seen it before. We've never been at this point in the season talking about Super Bowl. And I'm going to share a story with you guys. We're just going to go back to last season, NFC Championship game. Going into halftime, Lions have a big lead. We're all sitting here, and if you guys are like me and if you did the same thing, I'm on my iPad, and I'm looking for tickets to the Super Bowl. I'm looking for flights, hotels, I'm looking for tickets. I'm looking for the best deals. Do I have to fly somewhere, rent a car to finish the rest of the way? Like I was planning a trip to the Super Bowl, and I said, "There's a lot of football left. Let's sit back, see what happens." But I had a lot of plans, a lot of things going on. Obviously, we did not win that game. I was heartbroken just like you guys. And what sucks is I had to get on here as an emotional fan and talk about what just happened in the NFC Championship game, and it hurt. And honestly, that was probably the only time since me and Will have been doing this where I didn't want to show my face. I didn't want to be on here talking Detroit Lions football. I was heartbroken. I was crushed. You can ask my wife. I was moping around for a few days. I was just devastated, man. Like thinking this could have been our only chance. This could have been our only chance to even get close to a Super Bowl. It could have been one and done. Like you never know what's going to happen. You never know what the future holds. Like you get a chance to get to the Super Bowl. A lot of people don't get that. A lot of players don't get that. We could rattle off legendary players who have made it to a Super Bowl and lost, or players who have never made it to the Super Bowl. Like it's tough to get to this. That's why football is the best sport in all of professional sports. Okay. We don't get a 7-game series. We don't get, I guess the only thing that's close would be like March Madness. You get one game, you advance, you move on. That's the NFL. That's college football now. That's college basketball. But the professional sports, it's best of 7. Like, you can lose a game and still bounce back and win a series. It's not how it is in the NFL, man. It's the best sport in all of professional sports, in my opinion. So to get that close, that's where my mindset was last year. And again, I don't want to get too far ahead, but we're on the right track. Okay. And looking back at that NFC Championship game from last year, as heartbroken as I was, as devastating as I was, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will relate to that. Once I was able to clear my mind and sit back and think, all right, this is a young Detroit Lions team. Maybe they needed that loss in the NFC Championship game. Maybe they were doing somewhat of the same thing, like looking too far ahead, and they let the San Francisco Niners open the door and come right back in that game and steal a win from us. Maybe we were just too young. And I think looking back now, I think that was the loss that's going to catapult this team to the Super Bowl this season. Okay. I'll share another little backstory with you guys, and I appreciate you watching. I know this isn't Steve story time. You guys want to hear some Detroit Lions talk. That's what I'm trying to give you, but I'm just going to paint a picture. All right. I'm a diehard Michigan football fan as well. Okay. I watched Michigan football struggle for years, go up and down, same thing, kind of like the Detroit Lions. Jim Harbaugh comes, we have these great expectations, and it's not quite working. And then we get a player or a guy or a couple pieces like a Blake Corum, a JJ McCarthy, and we get over that hump of beating Ohio State and getting to the playoff. All right. Getting to the playoff and beating Ohio State is not the ultimate goal for me as a Michigan fan. The goal is to win the national championship. So watching Michigan go to the college football playoff 2 years in a row and lose, that third year, I was thinking, man, like, this is it. You got to win it this year. That's kind of how I put this Detroit Lions team. Like, we got a little bit of a taste last year. All right. We got a little bit of experience. It's going to go a long, long way. We got some veterans on our team now, bringing in some guys like Zadarius Smith who are hungry. Penei Sewell, he's always fired up. I'm sure that they are using last year's loss as the ultimate motivation to get down to New Orleans and win a Super Bowl. I don't know who it'll be against. Just looking at the NFC, no one scares me. Looking at the AFC, no one scares me. Okay, I think the Bills will get a good test against them in a couple weeks, and I'm so pissed that I will not be able to make that game. Me and my wife will be on vacation. We've had this vacation planned well before the NFL schedule came out, and when I saw that we have to miss our first game as season ticket holders, and I was like, man, it's the Buffalo Bills too. Like, that's going to be a very, very important game. We will not be there, but I promise you, on the flight back to Detroit from Florida, I will be tuned in to watch that game on my phone or whatever type of in-flight service they have. But I will be, I'll be with you guys in spirit in that game, and I will be thinking nothing more about the Detroit Lions in that game. So we'll get a first look, guys. When I think about the Super Bowl, like who are the favorites that we're going to be going against? Let me just pull up that graphic one more time. Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills. That's the Super Bowl matchup on the AFC side. NFC side, the only team that's on here that I think it deserves to be on here is the Eagles. They're playing good football right now. The San Francisco 49ers, as you can see, the odds don't really favor them to make the Super Bowl. They're not really sure what the issue is. We'll see them in a few weeks as well. But again, don't want to get too far ahead. But when I look at these AFC teams, like They just don't scare me. Okay. I know the Ravens spanked our butts last year, but the AFC is a juggernaut of a conference. Okay. We already went to Arrowhead and beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. We've had a good game a few years ago against the Buffalo Bills, and I think their team was better then than it is now. I know they still have Josh Allen, and they've kind of shuffled around some of their pieces with trading Stephon Diggs, and their offense isn't quite the same. But again, I know they still have Josh Allen, but none of these teams in the AFC are making me lose sleep. Okay. And I get it. Any given Sunday, you never know what's going to happen. We have a lot of football left, a lot of regular season football left. You never know what can happen in the playoffs. But this Detroit Lions team is focused. All right. Even when we're down, like we were against Houston a few weeks ago, a lot of teams just quit. Like they just give up, they roll over, they die, take the loss. Not this Detroit Lions team, guys. I plan on being in New Orleans in February. Okay. Me and my wife are going to have a conversation about how we're going to get there. If I have to drive from where I live all the way down to New Orleans, so be it. If I have to sleep in the bed of my truck for a couple nights, so be it. All right. We will get down to New Orleans. We will be at that game. Leave some comments, hit that like button, stick around, guys. I'll be back later with another show.